Hey there, I am Reverend Dan. We are Soul Evolution Collaborative, a nonprofit based in universal spiritual principles, and we are offering possibilities for navigating the evolution of life in an authentic and intentional way. And this is Truth Be Told 2.0, a weekly series that is looking to change the norms, kind of shake things up a bit, and bring you inspiring and uplifting messages to try and look at life in some different ways. And so, this week is part two of our series on unlocking our passion, which is a series that I'm excited about. This seems to be the natural evolution of last month's series. And so we are here. Last month was values. So now we are here looking at passion. What is passion? How does it play out in our lives? And this week specifically, we're going to be talking about how we discover our passion. What is your passion? How do you even know what your passion is? Does it change? Is it always the same thing? Does it bring you somewhere different? What is your passion? And so I think we're just going to jump right into it. We're going to do things a little different for this month-long series. Usually we have some dialogue and some segments and whatever, and we're just going to jump straight into conversation this month because I think that seems to be the part that everybody loves the most anyway. So here we go. Let's sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Truth Be Told 2.0. All right, so let's jump right in here. So I got the opportunity to be the observer last week, a viewer last week. So that was super cool to see you and Reverend Chris get up here and kind of kick things off. And one of the things that really stuck out to me was the crisscross of values and passion, and how at times passion can be that thing that kind of like it takes us off on like some side quests. And then we do this thing for a while, we're passionate about it, and then maybe it changes. And then other times passion can be like, this is the thing I'm being so pulled to do, and I'm going to do it no matter how hard it is. I'm just going to like go do that thing. And so passion seems like it could be like anything. I mean, it seems like passion can play out in a whole lot of different ways. And so this week, I think the question really is like, how do you know what your passion is? If last week was what is passion? Well, it could be a lot of stuff. Well, then how do you know what your passion is? Does it change? Is it always the same? Is it your calling? Is it your purpose? So I'm curious, like how have you found things in your life that you have labeled as a passion, and have those been different from like, uh, you know, uh, these words kind of start to all mean a lot of the same, and like they mean everything and nothing at the same time. Like,
Right. They
is
kind
it
of
this
mesh
passion
together.
the same as your calling? Is it the same as your purpose? Does passion equate to your value? Like, how do these? I think there's some interplay in all of these things, but I figured let's just start there and see what happens.
It's a good place to start. Yeah, it's interesting because I think that you're right. I mean, when we talk about passion, it can mean so many different things, and I think, well, that's kind of part of it, right? It's part of it, kind of figuring out what that means to you and how that shows up. And it's interesting. I was having a conversation earlier today where someone quoted Ernest Holmes, who was a founder of Science of Mind, when he talks about that creative urge, where
Yeah.
he's talking about different kind of understandings of what God or divine or the universe or nature, all those things that we have many different names for it, but one of the names he used was the creative urge. And I think for me that hit me in this conversation with passion, because I think that it ties into that urge, like that urge to move towards this thing, or that
Mhm.
urge to move towards this experience, or to move in this direction, whether it be a vocation or a relationship or an interaction or any of the things. It's like that thing within us. You can't really, even though we name it passion or put a name on it, we can't really do that. I think for me, that's how it showed up. It's kind of been that thing that I have been drawn to, or at any given point in my life, it's been the things that I've been drawn to in that particular time frame, um, that I really don't have any words as to why I'm drawn to it, but it just is this inner urge and moving in that direction. I mean, when I think about vocation, for instance, I was a social worker before I became a minister and we started this ministry, Soul Evolution Collaborative. And so for me, it was just natural. It was a natural urge to help people, to journey alongside people, to provide support, to be empathetic, all those things. It was just this natural thing.
Yeah.
And I think for me, what happens, how my passion, how I can kind of know it in a really real way in any given, like I said, it's not static. It changes based on, the more we learn about ourselves. But for me, it's that when I can be still and just see where am I drawn, like that urge that comes out, where does it take me? If
Yeah.
I'm just kind of getting out of the way and I don't really think about things, I just kind of relax into it. What comes natural? What am I naturally drawn towards? For me, that's like, not only does it point to my values and the things that are important to me, but then it gives a lot of momentum to activating those values in the world. And I think that's a lot about what passion is, right? Activating our values in the world around us in
Yeah.
a way, in like a tangible way, whether it impacts our own lives or like everything around us. And so for me, um, passion doesn't always look like I wake up in the morning, I'm gung ho and passionate to do whatever. Sometimes it's like, wow, it's morning. Right? And so, like, I think that we can be passionate and moving in the direction of our values and in the direction of our passions and not be like super bubbly and bouncy all the time, right? But
Yeah.
it's that inner urge. It's like that inner stirring. No matter how we try to get away from it or ignore it, it's always there, just kind of
Yeah.
just churning. And I think for
Yeah.
me, that's if I was to kind of define kind of what it feels like in my body, that's what it feels like for me, and that's how it's kind of showed up in lots of different areas.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely resonate with a lot of that. It's like that thing that like keeps coming back around to me, or I keep coming back around to it. And it's interesting because that take on it feels a little bit different than like, what are the things that I'm passionate about? And so there's almost like these two aspects about it. Like when I think what am I passionate about? I think about like the outdoors, like being in the outdoors,
Mhm.
doing, hiking, backpacking, camping, paddleboarding, whatever, right? Just even just like going to the beach, right?
Right.
Um, and I have a passion for being in the outdoors, and yet I mean, in a way that keeps coming back to me. Like I've had, bouts where I haven't spent a whole lot of time in the outdoors, and then like I can't take it anymore and end up outside anyway. Um, but that does feel different than like the passion that is that like inner stirring of like have to do this work,
Yeah.
which then also crossover is like my passion about the outdoors definitely overlaps my values. My values also overlap this like passionate work that is looking to be done in the world that like I couldn't help do every day. Like I just can't help but look at the world that way.
Yeah.
I couldn't if I didn't want to. Like I couldn't stop if I wanted to.
Right.
Um and so it is interesting to look at. I think there are like a lot of different perspectives to be had when it comes to passion, things we are passionate about, passion that stirs within us, whether we want it or not, or whatever. Like I think there are some different takes here, some different things showing up, and yet they are all also interrelated. It seems
Yeah.
in a lot of
Well,
ways.
I think that there's a lot of talk around like, I mean, we talked about discovering our values and like, well, discover your passion as if it has to be this like final destination.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
we have to do this kind of frantic searching until we find our passion. When we find that, then everything will be okay. We'll be in alignment, and then we're going to go do the thing. And I think that instead of this conversation about discovering our passion being like kind of this end game sort of tone, but I think it's just that daily questioning, that daily
Yeah.
curiosity of looking at those things that stir us.
Yeah.
You can look at those things or those ways that we want to show up in our lives, the way that we want to show up in the world, those things that we want to give our attention and energy to, and just get curious about what those things are first. And then, if we aren't doing that in the ways that we want to, or the ways that we're really being drawn to, then really looking, okay, so what is standing in the way? So, what is getting in the way of me doing that thing? And so, almost like this discovering your passion is just like this kind of internal monologue, this curious sort of questioning monologue, where it's less about what the answer is and more about the questions. because
Yeah.
the more we ask, the more we reveal, oh, my passion is to, I don't know, like you're talking about getting out in nature every day. That really fills me. And it really, you feel that alignment when you're out there. You feel that, you kind of know that's your passion when you feel that kind of
Yeah.
centering. All right, well, then why am I not doing that? And it could be various reasons. And then begin to shift and adjust those reasons, and so that it comes into alignment of you actually doing the thing. And
Yeah.
so then it's more about, honestly, I'll often say a lot of the questions are often about like what gets in the way of that, and then beginning to shift as you become more aware of what's getting in the
Yeah.
way.
When I think also societally, we have this like we have a lot of rules that have been made up, whether I made them up for me or society made them up and I took them on or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I think we often think passion is supposed to be a certain thing,
Yeah.
whatever rules we've made up around what passion is supposed to be, or like your purpose in life. You're supposed to
Mhm.
have a purpose, and it's this big noble thing, and like you're supposed to have a role and a title, and so I
Yeah.
think when these words come up, it can often feel like there is a specific nature to each one of them, and I
Mhm.
think being able to allow ourselves to remove those rules, because like it's all made up. You're passionate to
Right.
be whatever you want.
Right.
So you can be passionate about something for a day, for a week, for years, for your lifetime, whatever, and just kind of make it okay for you to do that. And so maybe this week you're passionate about like rocks. You know, maybe don't go drop your life savings on it, but
I
like,
do.
or yeah, or I don't know. I mean, like, cool, go get a book on rocks for the week, like
Yeah.
whatever. But I think, that's not, that doesn't fit within the norm of
Yeah.
whatever, you know what I mean? Um, so I think that's probably a big piece that gets in the way often, or at least from what I mean, conversations I've had and whatever. Like, I think we think it's supposed to. It's the shoulds. It's those shoulds again. Like passion should look like this. Your calling should look like this. Your purpose should look like this.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to stick with it, because if you don't
Yeah.
do it for your whole life, you're a quitter and you gave up, or I don't know,
Or you
whatever.
weren't passionate about
Or
it or
yeah, you
whatever.
weren't really passionate about. Or yeah, right. You were faking.
Well, and I think this conversation, not only does it kind of really integrate really well with our values conversation, but it also integrates really well with our authenticity
Yeah,
conversation too.
yeah,
And being allowing ourselves to ask those questions, allowing ourselves to show up in those ways that are stirring passion in that moment, or ways that we're being guided in that moment, and allow it to be as it is, and just showing up in that way without, like you said, stripping off the expectations or stripping off these assumptions. A lot of these words and these concepts, we have a lot of assumptions that we've made or they've been given to us, and we've just said, okay, I'll take that assumption and
sure.
go and run with it.
Yeah,
And so really it's like this beautiful kind of conversation between values and authenticity, and those things that stir um, that I don't know. You see a lot of with the conversation around passion. You see a lot of fire. There's a lot of fire imagery around that, but
right.
that stirring, that thing that kind of gets us moving and ignites us. And so I think that you're right. I mean, I think stepping out of some of those expectations and those assumptions, and really asking ourselves the questions for us and what that looks like for us, regardless of what
Yeah,
any outside influences may be, that we don't have to have one purpose in life. And if we don't find it, we are screwed.
yeah,
I used
we
to
blew
think
it.
that, right? And like, oh my God, I got to find my purpose. I got to find my purpose. I got
Yeah.
to find my
And then
purpose.
along with that comes like, am I doing the right thing?
Right. And so
Like,
then
yeah,
it's
yeah,
right.
you are, because you're doing a thing that either it is the thing you end up wanting to be doing, or is the thing that works for you, or that you need in your life, or whatever, or you find out like, oh, that actually isn't it,
Yeah.
and then like, so yeah,
Yeah.
whatever, regardless of what you're doing, it's the right thing because it's what you are doing right now, and it's going to lead you to whatever you do next.
Yeah. I mean, so this conversation about discovering our passion, like you said, it could be anything. That's the thing. It's like whatever
Yeah,
like stirs us, whatever like is calling to be done in any moment, or said in any moment, or to be experienced in any moment. That's our passion. And I think the conversation is more about learning about ourselves, right?
mm,
And really beginning to move in alignment with who we are, our authentic, true selves, void of anything that we've been told we have to be or should be. And I think that when we are able to live and move in that way, then these questions about our passion and these directions that we can go in, that can come and go, and we can move, and the kind of this like effortless sort of experience. And I think authenticity really is, I don't know, it's the cousin of passion, it seems like.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Cool. Well, we are about at time for today. We are definitely going to continue. I love this idea of just learning about ourselves. Passion is just learning about yourself. So we're definitely going to continue learning about ourselves for the rest of this month. And I'm really excited to see what else comes up, because this idea of passion is sparking a lot of new thoughts for us and certainly for me. So I hope it is for you as well. If you are looking for more of this kind of conversation, you can check out the multitude of events going on at Soul Evolution Collaborative. You can go to soulevolutioncollaborative.org/events and check them all out. Certainly consider joining the gathering on Thursday nights. It's a small group scene where we get to just kind of share of our own experience. We get to witness other people, hear other people, see other people. We get to be seen. It's pretty transformative. So would love to see you at any or all of those things. And if we don't see you Thursday, we will see you right back here next week at Truth Be Told 2.0.